It's story time. Have you ever wondered why is it in the scriptures we have been reminded to guard our hearts? Example, in John 14, let not your heart be troubled. Then in verse 27 it says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled. Now why the heart? Because the heart is one of the most valuable organ in our being, and it pumps blood. And if we're not careful also about our hearts, when it is filled with trouble, when it's filled with pain, it affects the rest of the organs. It affects the way you think, the way you feel, the way you make decisions. Now, all of us, even though people may appear to be smiling, in good health, moving on with life, it doesn't mean that they don't have problems. I mean, believe me, all of us have problems. It's just that some people are just really good in hiding it. Some people are just good in smiling. But we don't know at the end of the day, or in their own rooms, how often do they cry out to God? How often do they spend time in God's presence just so they could smile? It's not being plastic, but when you already acknowledge that without God you are nothing, you always do what is needed for you to be able to stand. Now, it is easy for someone to say to move on, for someone who has been grieving, if you have not had any family member that died, a husband, a wife, or a child that died. It's easy for you to tell someone to move on. But for somebody who has lost a loved one, it's difficult. Because when you get home, you see the reality. You remember everything. Their perfume, the laughter, the activities. It's hard. And believe me, it takes the grace of God. I know it's a choice, but like I said, we're human. We feel. God gave us emotions. That's why it takes the grace of God. And for someone right now battling with finances, that sure takes a lot of faith, because our human heart and mind would always tell us, I should have done this. No, I should do this. Maybe I should go there. Maybe I should ask this one. So it is really a battle of faith when it comes to finances, especially if you have exhausted everything. Now, what about those who are battling with their health? It is never easy too, especially when you just find out that you have a very serious condition. It's like the moment you wake up and the moment you sleep, there goes those thoughts haunting you. Maybe you're gonna die. There's no more hope. Oh, you should just sit on one corner and die. Things like that. So those are just a few of the things, the realities that people face nowadays. And there's one more thing about the family. A lot of parents are feeling lonely nowadays because they keep saying that today's generation have changed. And what I could really see is there is lack of communication on both parties, like parents to children, children to parents. It has our jobs and our activities, and sometimes it's these gadgets that takes the place of a serious conversation. You don't have time for laughter or spend time together. Now, with all these things happening, what is needed to be done? Like, all of us are facing tough times, but what should we do? Well, just like in the book of Matthew chapter 8, verse 1 to 4, there was this leper who met Jesus, and he worshipped Jesus. When he saw Jesus, he worshipped him. He knows he has a need because he's a leper. And when you are a leper, you're unclean. Nobody wants to be with you. You feel that Everybody is there, including your family, but they disowned you because you're unclean. You're carrying a virus and it's contagious and nobody wants to be with you. So he worshiped Jesus and he said, if you can make me clean. And Jesus said, I can. And immediately, when Jesus touched him, the leprosy left him and he was made whole. Now, Jesus is all powerful, but why did he touch the man? It is because Jesus wants us to see that he knew the problem of that guy. That person is lonely. That person is an outcast. That person must be longing to have someone who could even touch him. And Jesus knew his need. And to us listening right now, to you who is listening right now, it is not an accident. I want you to understand that no matter what you're facing right now, it may really seem impossible, be it on the health, the money, the relationship, emotional aspect. But with God, nothing is impossible. And you might say, oh, it's easy for you because you don't have a problem. Like I said, all of us have problems. It's just that others, they just have practiced how to smile in the midst of everything. Or before they went out of the house, they already gave it to God in prayer. So what do we do when we have tough times, impossible times? Believe me, those are never easy times. It takes a lot of spending time in the presence of God. You rest in God's presence. Just like when you're sick, you rest. It's God's way of telling you, hey, you've been moving a lot. You've been through a lot of places. You keep roaming around. Just rest. God wants you to rest, to speak to Him, to read His Word. And He wants you to be reminded right now that even if it may appear impossible, your situation, you have to choose to trust Him. Because our life is a trust. It has to trust God. We are limited, but He's not. Our life takes a lot of faith. We have to have faith in Him. We have reached this dark in our lives because of God. And it takes a lot of obedience, no matter what. Even if you think that the answer to prayer is not yet arrived, it's okay. God has already promised victory. No matter what comes, He says we are assured that we're never alone because Jesus is with us. Jesus is with us. He is our blessed Emmanuel. So if you're watching right now and you think you're really struggling with a lot of things in your mind, give it all to Jesus. Because He promised in Hebrews 13:5, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Those are a few of my favorite verses that I keep on reciting when I'm afraid, when I'm in doubt. Yes, doubt. Doubt always knocks at our heart. That's why we always remember the goodness of God. And in 1 Peter 5:7, it says, give all your anxieties to Him because He cares for you. Yes, God cares for you. Do not give up. Do not give up, my brother, my sister. When the tides of life are increasing, let yourself rest in the presence of God. Rest in His care because He is aware, He is in control, and He is with you, and He will see you through. He may not have promised a perfect, peaceful life. There may be storms, but He is with us in the midst of the storm, and we will overcome. God bless you.